What's going on, all you DC Movie Maniacs out there? Phat Samurai Guys here with Lady Fat Blood. And we are going to talk a little bit about the Justice League. That's right.
The movie. Huh?
Well, you know how we do. As you can tell, she's a huge fan of the movie already.
It's not as bad as you may think.
Justice League, already just hate comments already. Fuck it. Hey, we're always honest here, man. We're always honest.
Let the hate flow through you.
Do it. Anyway, Justice League, is it the film that the DC fanboys have been waiting for? No.
Or is it? I don't know.
No.
I'm really curious.
No, it's not. Is it the film DC fanboys have been waiting years for to see? No. Is it entertaining? Yes. In my opinion, I enjoyed this film. I thought this movie was entertaining. Yeah. Is it great? No. Am I going to put it on the top 5 comic book movies of all time? Probably not.
All right.
But for what I was given, I thought I was entertained. I thought the action was well done. I thought it was fine. The characters had really great chemistry. I think that was one of the best parts of the film. Even though you didn't really get a lot of backstory with Flash, Cyborg, and especially Aquaman was really the one that took the back seat in this film. He really didn't, I thought we were going to get less of Cyborg.
So let me just start off by saying I'm probably going to talk at random. I'm probably going to jump around a lot.
Yeah, that's what we do.
And I'll probably list out the negatives first. Preface that with, there are positives I saw, so shut the fuck up. Calm the hell down. Let me talk about what we were talking about in Thor Ragnarok, where a movie's identity is a theme that we were talking a lot about in that, and where I had a huge problem with the tone of Man of Steel, in that I understood Zack Snyder was going for a more relatable Superman.
He was trying to do something different.
He was trying to put forth a character that was not so alien, that you could try to understand his perspective and why he felt the way he felt. I was okay with that to a degree, except when you contrast... No, let me put it another way. When you put two characters together like Superman and Batman, which is what DC and Warner Brothers was trying to do when they rebooted Superman with Man of Steel, you need to have that contrast between Superman and Batman. And what is one of the biggest contrasts character-wise between Superman and Batman? Batman is clearly Batman, and he is in the shadows, and Superman is clearly Superman, and he is the symbol of hope and the symbol of good and the symbol of, truth and justice and and the red and blue tights and all that. And I didn't feel like we got that Superman in Man of Steel, and even more so in BVS, where I felt Superman was one of the biggest hypocrites in that movie, in that he was going after the Batman when he was guilty of killing thousands of people. He was secondhand responsible for killing so many people in that movie. So I never found Superman to be all that great of a character, whereas I love Ben Affleck's Batman in BVS, as I've said before. But what was the one thing that I really enjoyed about BVS? Was it bleak? Yes. Was it nearly suicidal inducing in its tone? A little bit, yes. But did I enjoy the tone of the film? I did. And more so even in the director's cut. And I want to say I gave the theatrical BVS a 3, but I was a little irritated with the plot holes and the Lex Luthor-isms and all of that. But I've watched the director's cut probably twice now, and a lot of people probably don't feel this way. I felt the director's cut, the extended cut, was better.
It was.
Not the rated R
the
blood,
ultimate cut.
Not the blood, this and that. All the plot holes that I had issue with in the theatrical were solved in the director's cut. Now, was it still over bloated and convoluted? Absolutely. But I feel like the director's cut is the only cut I can watch now.
Yeah.
And it flows, and it actually goes by quickly for me. I know a lot of people don't feel that way. But I loved the tone. I loved the identity. I loved the look of
BVS.
Of BVS. And I am so sad to say that we do not have that any longer.
No.
This is still touted as a Zack Snyder production or directed film. His name is still on the credits as the director. As we know, several months ago he had to step back because of personal family reasons, and they asked Joss Whedon to step in and finish the production of the film. And as we also know, there were a considerable amount of reshoots, and that was one of the things I was concerned with, was why were there so many reshoots? You know, every movie has reshoots, but we were hearing a lot of reshoots were being done here. Henry Cavill had to come back in the middle of another role and had to have a CG mustache and beard stubble CGI'd off because of this other role he was in, and that's how much they had to reshoot, was they had to put that much money into that particular aspect of what was going on.
Right.
And unfortunately, this movie shows the two different tones, and I feel like there is a little bit of a war in between what Zack Snyder was going for and what Joss Whedon brought to the table. I feel like this movie would have been a lot better off if it had been either or and not both. This movie suffers considerably tonally, and also, contrary to what some people might think, I never wanted DC to mirror Marvel films. I don't mind complexity as long as it makes sense and it's not convoluted, which I felt, and I still stand by this, BVS had a lot of convoluted bullshit in it. But I liked that it was a little bit bleaker and a little bit darker than what you would get from your standard Marvel fare. And what this movie unfortunately does, it tried to mirror Marvel in its movie structure.
Which I will give you guys a question. There's a question I have to ask you guys at the very end of the video. Don't let me forget. But we're saving that for the end of the video. It's an important question, okay?
So a lot of the scenes, they just kind of fly at you, and it's just scenes happening.
Yeah.
Well,
they cut it for time.
They did
cut it down,
and it shows. And
that was a big mistake, I think.
It feels like there's about an hour and a half worth of footage that's missing, and I wouldn't mind seeing the rest of that.
No.
I don't mind longer as long as it contributes to the story.
Right.
I will take a well-told 3.5 hour film over an hour and 50-minute film that feels like I don't know what the hell's going on, because there's way too much missing out of it, and it feels like it.
So since we're still in the negative zone, the phantom zone, let's just keep going with the negatives, and then I'll go into the positives.
Okay.
Anything else?
My biggest beef, sadly, was with Batman. And
Yes.
I tried to put the goggles on in terms of, okay, what was it that happened to him in BVS? What was I willing to accept about Batman and BVS? Batman kills people in that movie. I was perfectly fine with that. I felt like this Batman, through not so much telling us as implying to us, this Batman had seen some shit. He was old, he'd been doing this for a while, and he was, in a way, crazy. And he did not give a shit about humanity anymore, in terms of, he didn't see the good that Superman had to offer, even though Superman, did what he did at the end of Man of Steel with the other Kryptonians. And by the end of BVS, even though it was forced and it was a little didn't work all that well, Batman had come to see how good Superman was and really regretted that he had to die, and wanted to be a better person for it, and knew that something bigger was coming, and he knew that he was going to have to find more people like Superman and good people that could fight in these upcoming whatever was going to come. So having realized that was what Batman had gone through by the end of BVS, and bringing that Batman into this film, I was expecting him to be a little more light, not so you've got to kill them and da-da-da-da. What I was not expecting, what I was very disappointed, was that Batman in some scenes was fucking Tony Stark. He had some Tony Stark lines, sense of humor, one-liner quips, jokes. I didn't like that at all. He had a moment where he flat out made a joke about the whole "do you bleed?" and "oh, something's bleeding now." Really, Batman? Really? Would Batman really be like that? I did not like that he had a lot of that lighthearted.
Yeah.
I thought it was very interesting, though, that he he wasn't necessarily suicidal, but he did have this within him to where he is
Sacrificial.
yes,
Yeah.
he feels like he probably deserves to die, and I could see this Batman very easily sacrificing himself if there is another Justice League film. I don't know. I could see him sacrificing himself for the world and for the greater good, even especially if it means to save Superman. If something, if something else was to almost happen to him, I could see him doing that, and it would be a natural progression. It would make sense. But aside from that, I was not a fan of the Tony Stark Batman, which is unfortunate because I love Ben Affleck as Batman in BVS.
Yeah, he was one of the. He was kind of like my favorite part of BVS, and that's kind of why I gave BVS the score. I kind of was fanboying a little bit, and I kind of gave the BVS theatrical version the rating a little bit maybe too high because the Ultimate version's a lot better film in my opinion. But I couldn't help it because Batman was just, we've never seen a Batman like that before. Whether you hate him as Bruce Wayne or Batman, and everyone has their own favorite Batman. Of course, Michael Keaton's the best Batman. Okay. He's the best Batman and Bruce Wayne combination, okay. But in terms of Ben Affleck being one of the best Batmans, we supported him big time after BVS because we were one of the big haters of the thought of him being Batman. We hated it, and I was just like, I've never seen a badass Batman. This Batman would eat Christian Bale Batman alive. He would eat him and shit him out.
Yeah.
He would destroy and break
him a couple times.
He would paralyze Bane. Okay? This Batman, and I loved how ruthless and badass he was. Just no nonsense. I love that Batman. Batman was fine in this movie. He was fine.
Yeah.
His look and his suits were great. He had some cool action sequences. In terms of fight choreography, obviously, there was nothing as awesome or as badass as the warehouse fight in BVS. You're not going to see any of that stuff here in Justice League. But the stuff that he did was entertaining to watch, but something felt off.
There was one
Even
moment.
his Bruce Wayne, even Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne was fine. I didn't really get that much of the Tony Starkism, when I was watching it, but something just kind of felt a little off.
But there was one moment that he did have that I really enjoyed.
Which one was that?
Felt like, okay, I could see Batman doing that when he was pushing Diana. When he was talking to her and he's like, you've been around for all these years. How come I've never heard of you? Basically pushing her is that you need to lead this team.
Right.
It's got to be you. It's got to be somebody else. I'm not.
That was good.
Yeah, and when he brought up Steve's name, and she fucking pushes him and she hurts him, I really enjoyed that. I can see, because Batman, he gets into people's heads like that.
Yeah.
And I thought that was like the one thing where I'm like, there's my Batman. Okay, all right, I'm liking that.
Right.
But
Making everybody think.
Yeah, but aside from that, when he wasn't being Tony Stark, he was fine.
He was fine. His chemistry with Gal Gadot was fine. They worked well together.
Yeah, I like them. I like them together.
They were good together.
I really don't need them hooking up, but you never know what the fuck they're gonna do in these films. So.
Right. Well, the rate things are going, I don't think we have to worry about a love story between them at this point. But just keep going with the negatives here. Really, every single scene in this movie. Don't worry, I'm going to get to the positives and I'm going to get to why I enjoyed this film. But if you really want to nitpick and just get down to the nitty-gritty, you could really nitpick almost every scene in this movie that there's something wrong. Yeah. You know what I mean? Maybe not every scene, but every other scene. I mean, just Batman just revealing himself. And everyone knows that he's Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
In front of Aquaman, even when... Lois was brought in as the big gun to calm down Superman. She even gets out of the cab and she yells, "Clark!" Even though the taxi driver's right there. Yeah. I mean, if you really want to be that way, if you really want to be nitpicky on every little thing, then you're gonna have a problem with the film, and you're probably gonna hate the movie. So I understand that. Steppenwolf. He's big baddie villain of the week. His CGI wasn't really that great. I did enjoy his His hammer, though. I mean, his axe. His hammer. I did enjoy his axe. His axe was badass.
There were moments where he looked good.
Yeah, there were a few moments where he was actually intimidating. When at the beginning with the Amazons, that whole chase sequence, and they were passing off to each horse.
That was a really
and he was
nice
jumping,
sequence.
and I was like, dude, don't fuck with this guy.
And it was
that was
nice.
really like the only moment where I was like, dude.
Yeah, and it was nice showing off the Amazons.
Yeah.
Getting to see them in action and how they fight, and
That was cool.
I enjoyed that aspect of the film a great deal. But aside from that, Steppenwolf was just kind of, like you said, villain of the week.
The villain of the week wasn't really Darkseid. Of course, all of us really want Darkseid, but then a lot of people were saying that bringing in Darkseid would have been too soon. It would have been kind of a waste of Darkseid. So let's bring in the B villain compared to Darkseid.
Yeah.
the B villain of the week.
Yeah.
Powerful B villain of the week. But yeah, Steppenwolf was throwaway.
Superman's return was a little odd.
It was a little odd.
I don't know if
rushed.
I don't know if they had always planned to have him be revived by the amniotic fluid and the mother box, but I distinctly remember at the end of BVS, it was implied he was going to come back on his own anyway. When you see him in the coffin, you see the coffin, and you see bits of the debris, the dirt,
kind of levitating.
Just for a fraction of a second, you see it kind of move. And I thought it would have been more interesting if, he had come back on his own, and you might still have been able to have had the same scene that you eventually get with him in the League. But they did kind of like this wacky science fiction where, again, Batman pulls a Tony Stark and says, and everybody's like, dude, this is an awful idea what your plan is to try to bring him back. And what if he's not the same person? And even Aquaman was like, you lose something when you die.
Right.
You leave something behind. And Bruce pulls a Tony and he overrides everybody. He's like, no, we're doing this. I don't care if it's a horrible idea. We're doing it anyway. Age of Ultron style. So that felt a little odd, but...
Well, the whole argument was Steppenwolf's going to do it anyway. And Steppenwolf's going to bring him back with the mother box and make Superman bad guy anyway. So let's do it.
It's true.
That was one of the arguments, but...
It's true. But it felt... I mean, maybe that's how they always planned on bringing him back. I don't know if that was a rewrite. I don't know if that was original Snyderism. It felt a little odd, but the good news was that the means to the end was actually the ending of that scenario was very entertaining in that he fights the League.
Right, and we're going to get to that with positives. There's still the negatives right now.
Right.
Let's get it out.
Some of the, again, like any film, some of the quips don't necessarily work. I think they may have tried a little too hard with the Flash and his humor, but for the most part, he was fine. I think that the movie's biggest problems are the obvious ones, and that so much because of the studio mandates and the rewrites and the reshoots, you can just tell that the movie has these pieces, these chunks taken out of it, and scenes just kind of happen, and it's not necessarily a cohesive story, but the movie itself is okay, but there are pieces of it that are really good and some that are just kind of like, well, this feels empty and hollow, and this feels like they're trying to be a Marvel film.
And like I was saying earlier, there's really not a lot of backstory on Aquaman.
They tried as best they could for the 2 hours.
A lot of the characters is really not. I mean, they you get their motivations at least.
Yeah.
You at least, thank God, you get the motivations of each character.
Yeah.
But in terms of like a little brief origin type introduction, we don't really get that. When Aquaman was talking with Mara under the water, I was just like, dude. If any other person is watching this right now, they'll be like, what the hell's going on? Like,
what the fuck is going on?
What is happening? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, not a lot of backstory. Not too much character arc. I think Cyborg probably had the best character arc. If there wasn't a big character arc, but there was an introduction, a middle ground, and a resolution to his character at the end compared to the others.
Yeah, and he was the one that surprised me the most out of all the characters. Right. I thought he was going to look the worst. I thought he was going to be the least...
The dead weight.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be the one that didn't... Because obviously everybody knows who the Flash is. and any straight female is gonna go apeshit over Momoa, obviously.
Yeah!
So you've got the ladies on his side.
My man!
Yeah, and you just kind of got Cyborg, which nearly everybody knows who the Flash is. Enough people know who Aquaman is. I think Cyborg might have been the one that's kind of like, okay, what's this dude's story? You know, between him and Aquaman, neither of them have had any real big like TV shows or animated movies or whatnot. I think was Cyborg in Teen Titans.
Well, Cyborg was Cyborg's
he was
been
Teen
around.
Titans, yeah.
Cyborg's
but
been
in terms
around
of like
cartoons.
mainstream introduction, those were the two characters.
There was kind of a bootleg version in Smallville.
Oh, okay. Never watched Smallville.
But yeah, I mean, we'll get to Cyborg and what we liked about him in a minute, but more negatives.
I think I've covered a great deal.
Nothing else? You sure? Come on.
I didn't have a problem with the CGI.
There it is.
Well, because I feel like, oh, geez.
Yeah. Now.
Okay, my first point was a lot of people have said this is a CGI fest. Well, of course it is.
Yeah,
and that's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
However,
and
I'm sorry, and apparently I'm one of the very few. I could see nothing but awful Henry Cavill face. From the first shot of the cell phone, I was like, Jesus Christ, is this what we're in for? And
we freaked out. We
Yeah.
freaked out and we looked at each other like, no,
Yeah.
what is this?
And
because it was so bad.
It was blatant. It was like Forrest
Some people
Gump.
are saying I didn't even notice it.
And I can't see how you can't notice it. I was when I saw the film.
Oh god.
I was giving a generous estimate.
2 weeks. Sorry.
I was feeling like 85% of his scenes were CG because of the...
Well, they kind of were in a way.
But other people were like, well, I didn't notice it. I didn't think it was that much.
Yeah.
I literally can think of maybe 1 to 2 scenes that he was in where it wasn't CGI'd out, where his stuff wasn't digitally removed.
Yeah.
So I don't know what everybody else is talking about, but Cavill, Superman, the big blue Boy Scout that finally comes back in the film and actually feels like Superman for the first time.
We're going to get to the positives, yep.
And visually, he looks like...
Superman.
He looks like General Tarkin from Rogue One. That's what he looks like. His face.
You're talking about...
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like we finally get him back, and he finally feels like Superman, but he looks like... Ugh.
Yeah.
That's how I saw it.
Later, the good news is later in the movie, for me, it wasn't that bad. It kind of fixed a lot of the problems. But the opening cell phone shot.
The worst. Yes.
The opening cell phone shot. Come on. You can't defend that. You can't defend it. It's terrible. Later though, for me, it wasn't that bad. It was all right.
Do you remember Forrest Gump and how they had that technology where they took footage of JFK and Nixon and all that, and they it was the first time people were imposing mouths over, and you look at it now and it's like, oh shit, it looks so hokey.
Maybe they just didn't have the budget or the time, but either way,
it didn't work for me.
Thankfully, the beginning is the worst, and it's gone. So it wasn't that bad.
It wasn't as bad as that.
Come on.
No, it wasn't as bad.
Yeah.
But that's all I could see.
Right.
And no, I wasn't looking for it. I was not looking for which scenes are not and which are. I just saw it. This is
Any other negatives?
You might want to take over because I'm running out of negatives.
You're running out of negatives? I'm trying to think. Was there anything else? You already mentioned the movie kind of feels rushed in some spots and scenes missing. We already mentioned that.
Yeah.
Felt like they were missing. Anything else? You had a problem with the film?
The score.
Okay.
Oh dear.
Okay.
So here was my biggest. This is what I was most curious about, aside from the tonal inconsistencies that I was expecting between the Zack Snyder scenes and the Joss Whedon scenes, and how they would converge in the editing room, because obviously it was going to be edited differently than if Zack Snyder had continued and been involved in the process. So when Danny Elfman was introduced, or he was announced to be scoring this, my first reaction was, oh, okay. First of all, I love Danny Elfman. I feel like his Batman score, 1989, and carried over into 1992's Batman Returns, they're fantastic scores. I love him as a composer in general. He has done some work in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, and
Raimi
the
years.
Sam Raimi, the first two.
He did Hulk too.
Yeah.
The bad Hulk.
The
bad Hulk.
yeah. Ang Lee's Hulk.
Yeah.
So he's no stranger to comic book scoring.
Yeah.
But I was curious what he was going to do with this, and I was even more curious when I found out he was going to be bringing back the 1989 Batman theme. And then on top of that, they were bringing in the John Williams theme from the original Superman.
Yes.
I didn't know what to make of any of that, and I was very curious what he was going to do about that. And unfortunately,
You would have preferred the Junkie XL.
I absolutely adored what Hans Zimmer and Junkie XL did with BVS. The score was without doubt, aside from Ben Affleck's Batman, the absolute best thing I took away from that film. I adore the score. I adore Batman's theme. I adore Wonder Woman's theme. I enjoy the theme that he uses between Batman and Superman when they're fighting. I loved their music, and I wanted Junkie, because I knew Hans Zimmer was stepping away from the superhero genre, and I believe Junkie XL was going to resume with this film. And unfortunately, what we ended up with was, because of what we saw on screen, I didn't feel like the Junkie XL music would have fit, but I also don't feel like the Danny Elfman score was very
Kind of a
fitting.
mixed bag.
It was fun hearing the Batman theme and the Superman theme, but honestly, I don't feel like they were well used at all.
That was my pet peeve with the Danny Elfman soundtrack. The Danny Elfman soundtrack was fine. I thought the soundtrack was fine for this type of movie. We need a superhero team-up movie soundtrack. Give us that. And I think he gave us that. But I was really disappointed because the fanboy in me really wanted to hear Batman's theme and really wanted to hear John Williams' theme. And it was just not... It was just so underwhelmingly used in this movie. Like he was trying to be smart with it. He was using it and subtly.
Yeah.
He was easing it in a little bit.
Yeah.
Da-na-na-na. That's it. You know.
Yeah.
But it was used. It was used in areas where it was just like you're wasting parts of an iconic theme.
Yeah.
He didn't even really play the iconic theme in its entirety.
Yeah.
And it was like, you're kind of wasting it here. Like, why was John Williams' theme, parts of John Williams' theme used when Superman was trying to kill the Flash?
Yeah.
Why was it there?
Yeah.
When you know it would have been perfect to use that theme at the end when he shows up to fight Steppenwolf.
Yeah.
Right there. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. How awesome would that have been when you hear him talking shit?
Yeah.
Steppenwolf, and Steppenwolf turns around. I would have been like, this is awesome, you know what I mean? But why was it? It was just kind of wasted.
Yeah.
I know they were doing a whole homage thing. I get it. But it just, if you're gonna bring in those iconic themes, use it.
Yeah.
When Batman at the end he's fighting all the parademons. And his guns are blazing and spinning around and going up you put the fucking theme song there. Da-da-da-da-da.
Something.
Da-da-da-da-da. Like, use it there. Like,
Yeah.
da-na-na-na. And that's it. That's all we really got. And him just jumping off like
And
come
even
on.
and even
That's where I was disappointed. I was just like,
Yeah.
I felt like I was given superhero themed blue balls.
Yeah. And even Wonder Woman's theme, you literally hear it once.
Yeah,
You
the
hear it
one
one
bank
time
sequence.
when you see her and her introduction sequence in the film, and
Right.
she's standing on the Liberty statue.
Right.
And it was
And the
nice.
fight scene in the bank.
It was
The
nice.
bank,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was nice to hear it, but you never hear it again.
Right.
And again, I know it's hard it's one of those things that a lot of people don't give a shit anymore, but I grew up with movie themes. I grew up with movie soundtracks. John Williams fucking spoiled my generation, where you get a John Williams score into a film and everybody's got a theme. Danny Elfman used to be the exact same way. You look at Batman Returns, Batman and Batman Returns. Batman had a theme, Joker had a theme. The Love Story had a theme. Batman Returns, Selena Kyle, Catwoman had a theme. Penguin had a theme. Batman had his theme again. Movies don't have that anymore, and
you really have to look for it.
And even if they do,
because a lot of people think BVS doesn't have theme,
and
there is no Batman theme.
They're dead wrong on that. There are 3 solid themes. Every character has a theme in that film because Hans Zimmer had already created his Man of Steel theme, which you do hear a shred of it, which I was fine with that, but I just didn't. I didn't really like the score. It was suitable.
Yeah.
But it was
I said, it was fine.
It was a mixed. It was part pandering to the fanboys, but not enough. Right. And then it was part generic superhero music. And so, I was a little disappointed with the score. So unfortunately, that was a negative for me. Yeah.
Not terrible.
No.
Not terrible at all. You can enjoy it.
It's just there.
It's just there. And he gave us blue balls. All right, now for the positives. Okay, here we go. Obviously, you can already tell my rating for the movie is going to be higher than hers. But hey, it's a free country, it's a free world. Everybody has their own opinion. Oh, there are people out here that hate this movie.
Fucking hate me. I don't give a shit.
The Rotten Tomatoes score is really bad.
We already have 1,000 dislikes on this video alone. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, that's right.
Whatever.
That's right. This is what we love talking about movies. You can agree.
If it makes you feel better, hate me.
Agree or disagree. It's a free country. It's perfectly fine. Anyway. All right. So, before we get into the positives, or I get into the positives.
I have positives too.
Yeah, you can jump in when you're ready. Yeah, I had some negatives.
I didn't hate the movie.
I had some negatives. All right. So, Man of Steel. When we first watched Man of Steel, I'm going back a little bit because I want you to experience how I view Justice League through my eyes and how I approached the film. So Man of Steel, when we saw Man of Steel in theater, I finally got to see how a fucking badass Superman. Like finally Superman is in these epic fights to see how strong he is. It's epic. The action is amazing. But I still felt empty by the end of the movie, like something was missing. I don't know if it was heart. Something was missing. I was fine with the film, but something was missing. Until I rewatched Man of Steel again, I actually ended up liking it a little bit more. BVS, same thing. Loved Batman, but something was missing from it. And again, rewatching BVS, we ended up liking it a little bit more because we saw the Ultimate Cut.
I admit, I like the Ultimate Cut a lot more.
Yeah, a lot more.
Yeah.
Now, we get to Suicide Squad. Now, oh God. We're not going to take back any ratings that we have given previous film reviews.
I found a loophole around that.
Oh, really?
I did.
Okay.
Here's my loophole.
Okay, what is it?
I gave theatrical BVS a 3. I would give director's cut a 3.5.
Okay.
We gave theatrical Suicide Squad a 3.5. I give the extended director's cut a 2.5.
Oh, now, when we saw...
Bam, bitches!
When we saw Suicide Squad, for some strange, odd reason, we found it entertaining.
Yeah, we did.
So, even though we admitted that the movie was not great...
No.
We still found it entertaining, and I think we were trying to. I think some of that was just trying to recoup from BVS.
Maybe
because BVS, our expectations, we didn't know what we were going to get with BVS, and BVS was not what we really wanted, even though we enjoyed aspects of BVS, and I think we were just trying to recoup with Suicide Squad, and we ended up liking it.
Sometimes first impressions are dead wrong for us.
When we rewatched it again.
The director's cut.
It doesn't matter. We could have watched the theatrical again. It doesn't matter. It was very hard to sit through for some reason. We were sitting here like, dude, what the hell were we thinking when we first saw this movie?
Yeah.
And we still like parts of Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
It does have its moments. Margot Robbie's great as Harley Quinn. I still think Jared Leto's Joker didn't really get a chance to shine because he was in the movie for like 5 minutes. So we don't really know. But anyway, watching Suicide Squad again, I kind of gave up. Like, I was just like, kind of done a little bit. I had my fingers crossed for the DCEU to get better and be better. But half of me was like, dude, I think I'm kind of done a little bit with DCEU. And then Wonder Woman came along, and Wonder Woman was a very entertaining and very well-made origin story, which we don't really get that anymore. And yeah, I mean, you know what I mean. Like, we don't get a lot of those, and we don't really need a lot of origin stories. But when they're done well, we have to applaud.
And it's a testament to how Zack Snyder sometimes doesn't need to be the director because he was involved in the story of that.
Right.
He co-wrote the story for Wonder Woman.
Yes.
Just think about that for a second. A movie that brought us so much entertainment.
Right.
And watching it a second time, I think I enjoyed it a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I think I smiled a little bit more the second time I watched it.
Mm-hmm.
Just think about that. He had a hand in that film.
Yeah.
In that film, that
In Wonder Woman,
felt like the hope and the spirit of the character,
Right.
and she still believes in the power of love without it sounding god awful and schlocky.
Right.
And I liked that, which
Right.
I'm just like, no, don't. But I enjoyed it, and he had a hand in that.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
And
So
Zack Snyder, he's like Rob Zombie. He can be a very capable director when he doesn't have complete control over everything.
That's a good point.
You know.
Yeah, we enjoyed Watchmen.
Oh yeah.
We really liked Watchmen.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the DCEU here.
Yeah.
With Wonder Woman, hope came back a little bit, but I still really wasn't fully on board that the DCEU is going to be what I want it to be.
Especially hearing all the behind the scenes.
But Justice League.
And the Batman.
Yeah. Yeah, all the Batman stuff. Ben Affleck, he's in, he's out, he's in, he's out.
It's rated R. He might not be Batman anymore.
It was like, he's gonna do Batman. Now he's not doing Batman. Now the guy he was gonna do Batman with was it Matt Reeves or whatever. Now he's not doing Batman with him. Now it just didn't sound. There was always this negativity surrounding the DCEU, and half of that is Warner Brothers' fault. But they're a little bit too ambitious instead of doing things the right way. And, like, seriously, Justice League, all those extra scenes should not have been cut. Well, anyway, so even though Wonder Woman, I was like, yes, finally, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Finally, DCEU has a win
And
here.
it wasn't grasping at straws either.
No.
It was not looking for something that we wanted. It was, wow, that was actually really entertaining. And the proof was in the second viewing.
Yes.
That's how we felt.
Yes, and like I was saying, it felt nice that finally DCEU had a win, but still half of me was just kind of done with DCEU. Like, I had fingers crossed. I was like, I hope they get better. I hope they get better. I hope they become amazing. We shouldn't have to just settle. Yeah. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, I kind of settled with Justice League. By the time I got to Justice League, you gotta remember, this is my mindset. I've given up. Like, I was done. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman was cool, but it's over. I hear too much fucking negative shit behind the scenes, and Affleck's, what are you doing? I support you, Affleck, but you're saying shit I'm not liking what you're saying. Okay, and I'm just like, well, fuck it, man. I'm support this guy, this Batman, him as Batman, and now what the fuck? Where are we going? It doesn't seem like the Warner Brothers knows what they're doing.
They don't have a Feige.
Jesus. So at this point, even though I loved Wonder Woman, I was entertained by Wonder Woman, all right? I was done. So I was just like, you know what? I'm expecting Justice League to not really be that great of a film.
Yeah.
I've already heard, I'm not expecting it to be a great movie. Number one. Number two, I already heard that the Steppenwolf is a big CGI generic baddie of the week. I expected that. I also, number three, we knew scenes were cut.
Yeah.
We knew, number four, we knew things tonally were going to be off. Number 5, I knew that, you know, it was going to feel like scenes were missing, okay? And it was going to be messy. 6, there was a chance the Danny Elfman score may not be great.
Or not work.
Yeah. Right? So I kind of already knew all of this going into Justice League. So I never once went into Justice League expecting the greatest superhero team-up movie of all time.
Yeah, we expected a contained dumpster fire.
I wasn't necessarily expecting it to be garbage, though, but there was that chance. So at this point, coming from Man of Steel all the way to here, okay, I went in and this was my eyes. I went in going, you know what? I know this movie's gonna have a ton of flaws. I know there's gonna be a lot of bad stuff in here, but you know what? I just want to be entertained. That's all. Fuck it. We don't know where we're going. We don't know if Ben Affleck's gonna stay around. We don't know where the direction Warner Brothers is taking the DCEU. And it just sounds like a nightmare. So you know what? Fuck all that. I just want to have fun. And that's what this movie gave me. So that's my mindset, and that's seeing it through my eyes. That's when watching the film, I had a great time. I had a good time. I would not rank it at, you know, top 5 comic book movies of all time.
Yeah.
But it was entertaining. Watching this movie, the tone was off a little bit, but watching the film, it felt like I was watching a live action version of Justice League Unlimited. That's what this felt like. One of the best animated shows out there, one of the most underrated animated shows, Justice League and Justice League Unlimited cartoon shows. That's what I felt like I was watching. It was a live action version of one of their episodes, fighting the big baddie of the week. We got to get the team together. There's going to be some conflict, but then when the times get tough and the goings get rough, we're gonna work it out, damn it. And we're going to defeat the villain. That's it. And that's kind of all I wanted and all I expected. And that's what I got. So that's why I enjoyed Justice League. Okay? Now, some of the positives. Again, great chemistry between the team. Okay? Action was well done and was decent. But my favorite part of the film is fucking Superman. I absolutely love bright colored Superman, smiling Superman, laughing Superman, and kind of being like, hey, you know what, let's throw down here. Like when he showed up, he wasn't even, there was not 1 ounce of concern that he was going to get his ass kicked by Steppenwolf. Steppenwolf throws like his punch or whatever, Superman's just like, he's moving out of the way like, really, bro? Really? You're messing with the wrong Kryptonian up in here, you know what I'm saying? So Superman was just fucking awesome. I loved him in this movie despite the bad CGI mouth. I still loved him. And the best, most badass part in the film is Superman versus the Justice League.
Yeah.
That was amazing. And people that even hate this movie love that scene.
Well, him and the Flash.
That was hilarious. So he's all disoriented. He doesn't know where he's at. Justice League shows up, and he's kind of looking at them as a threat.
Cyborg's metallic...
His defense mechanism malfunctions.
It reacts to him.
Oh, it reacts.
He has no control over it.
Yeah.
And he accidentally attacks Superman.
Yeah. Momoa's heart was already, like, beating crazy. So, And so Superman's like, oh, I'm fucking all you guys up. Great scene. Oh, it's great. But yeah, him grabbing everyone and Flash trying to be sneaky, running around at him and him slowly turning, looking at him like this, and Flash is like, it was great. Whether that was a reshoot from Josh Whedon, I don't know, or whether that was Snyder's idea, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that was brilliant. That was just a lot of fun. Superman, again, back to being the badass that we all know that he is. And even Wonder Woman was giving it to him. And Superman was like, shit, I wasn't expecting Wonder Woman to be so strong. And then he fucks her up. It was great. Yeah. And I had a boner. I'm sorry, I had a nerd boner when Superman grabbed Batman. Because he remembered Batman and he says, so do you bleed? I was like, ah! Ah! I'm I'm sorry. I know the bad Batman joke came afterwards when he was like, I guess I bleed.
Yeah.
I know that happened. And I know he knows that he bleeds. But it was a shot, man. It was a shot from the last movie. It was great.
There was also...
It's great.
There was also, you won't let me live, you won't let me die.
Right.
And Batman's like, the world needs you.
Yeah.
And Superman goes, but does it need you?
It's great.
I mean, shit like that was like, oh, okay, you're getting me.
Superman was a better, more badass, intimidating, convincing villain than Steppenwolf was in this movie.
Oh, shit.
I'm just saying, I'm throwing it out there.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing it out there.
So
anyway, and then Superman showing up at the end, and then like little things here and there was scoring points with me. When Flash was rescuing that one family, apparently there's only one Russian family out there that exists. It seemed like it the way that we're filming the movie. Flash is saving them, and he looks over, and Superman's saving like a whole building of people.
Yeah.
It was like little things like that. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
And Superman grounding and pounding Steppenwolf, using his eye beams, fucking him up. I was like, this is what I want. This is what I've always wanted to see.
Yeah.
Whether it makes the movie messy and it doesn't work in the Snyder universe, I was entertained.
Yeah.
So
I personally love what they did with
I liked Aquaman too. He just didn't get a lot. Didn't get a lot to do.
He had a fantastic scene where he starts just pouring out his heart, and he's sitting on Wonder Woman's golden lasso.
Telling the truth.
Yeah, and that was
hilarious.
That was actually really fun.
Yeah.
I love what they did with the Flash in that he was openly admitting, "Look, I'm not a fighter.
Yeah.
I've just been doing things and running away."
Mm-hmm.
And when they go into that first altercation as a group, and they have the hostage situation, and Batman tells them, "Just save one person."
That was dope.
And that's
the Batman we want.
Yeah, and he just keeps saving one person, and he keeps saving as many people as he can, just one at a time. I really enjoyed that.
Some of the fish out of water jokes worked, I think, with Flash.
Yeah.
You know, not all the jokes worked, but some of them were damn funny.
I can't stress enough. I will always admit when I'm wrong. I was wrong about Gal Gadot when she was first announced as Wonder Woman.
We both were.
I enjoyed her in BVS, although I didn't feel like she had the impact and the time to shine that she deserved. I loved her in Wonder Woman, and I love her in this movie.
She kills it.
She is fantastic as Wonder Woman. I enjoyed Cyborg way more than I thought that I would enjoy him.
Great voice, this actor.
He's got a very good presence.
Yeah.
His character, you could understand his motivations. You understood his conflict and his what am I? Am I a machine? Am I a man? What the fuck am I doing? You understand why he joins the League.
I love how he was so hesitant.
And he was very helpful in the team. He wasn't
they needed him bad.
Yeah, he was actually he was front and center in a lot of the shenanigans and all of that.
You're okay with the CGI? You know what it was? It wasn't the CGI that was bad with Cyborg. A lot of people say the CGI for Cyborg was bad. It was just the design.
Maybe.
I think the design. You know, at the end where he's learning how to control a lot of his body. You know, it kind of forms that shield.
Yeah.
That's kind of how he looks.
Okay.
And you notice how much better that looked. His chest. I don't know why they just didn't keep traditional Cyborg look. That would have been better for the movie, but it was fine. Yeah. But yeah, Cyborg, I really thought he was gonna, because I never was a fan of Cyborg.
Yeah.
And I really, really liked him in this movie.
Yeah. I thought the team together had a really good dynamic and
had some good team maneuvers together.
They had, I think, all things considered, very good charisma. Considering 3 characters had their own films or had already been established, and 3 characters had not, even though you'd seen snippets of them in BVS. I thought all of them came together and were very, very... They worked very well together.
Yeah.
And charismatically, I thought they worked very well. I want to say I enjoyed the look of the film in so much that I enjoyed when you got to see Gotham and when you got to see...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The beginning scene where you get to see Gotham and Batman fights that one parademon. It looked like the Arkham City video games. Like, it looked like that. Like, just that world.
Yeah.
I wanted to stay there.
Yeah.
Like, I just there's a little snippet of hope of a standalone Ben Affleck Batman movie, you know? It's like, dude, this would work.
And what's his name?
Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah, he was barely in it.
We don't know how much
Barely,
his scenes were cut though.
Barely in it, but
Yeah.
you know,
He was fine.
if he gets to come back for
He's
another
fine.
Batman film, he'll be great
Yeah.
as Commissioner Gordon. I really enjoyed the two end scenes, the post-credit sequences, the Flash,
The race,
and the Superman race. That was adorable. That was in the spirit of comic books, and I felt like this. In a lot of ways, though, this movie has done what Man of Steel and BVS didn't quite want to do, which was admit that we are in a comic book universe. I felt like Man of Steel went so far as to at least show the Kryptonians battle and show actual Krypton footage, but then it was very reality based. BVS had a lot of reality, like images based in, you know, like the 9/11 scenario and terrorism and all of that with the city crumbling, with Metropolis crumbling at the beginning of BVS, and then it had the comic book elements with the Kryptonite and Batman vs Superman themselves, and with Doomsday getting brought in.
Right.
But it's still very much, there's a lot of reality going on, but they're trying to pull more comic book elements into us. I feel like into the film. I feel like this one they finally are admitting, okay, we are a comic book. We are, you know, we are supernatural. We are gods. We are sci-fi. We are fantasy. We are everything.
That flashback with that really cool flashback with Steppenwolf.
The war.
Yeah.
The Lord of the Rings war. kind of a little bit.
Amazons, the Atlanteans teaming up, the gods. You had Zeus there.
That was very good. That was
Green
very
Lantern was there. There was a Green Lantern there.
Yeah, that was
really cool, man.
So, you know, the look of the film, I felt like it kind of was on its way to having more of its own. Okay, we're admitting that we're a comic book universe now, but
you don't know how much of that is Joss Whedon's influence, though.
Yeah, that's
like it could have been the exact same scenes, but the filter was darker in the Snyder version.
We never know.
You never know.
We might never know. A lot of people are petitioning for a Zack Snyder cut. I've heard one person that works in the industry saying there is not such a thing as a Zack Snyder cut because movies are found in the editing process, and he might have had a working print cut, but we might never ever get to see that because of...
They better.
Well,
and then we can get to the question that I want to ask.
I think we need...
But they better.
I think we at least need and deserve an extended cut.
Yeah.
And I think we at least deserve to see the deleted scenes.
Yes.
If you want the extended cut in with Whedon's final, you know, say-so on things, as long as it makes sense, I'm fine with that.
Right. We'll just do like with BVS. They had both versions.
Yeah.
They had the theatrical. And then they had the extended. That's all you have to do.
But you never know. Snyder mixed with Whedon's scenes may make no sense. That's what I'm saying. It's like...
Come on, Warner Brothers.
You never... That's the thing. Well, we won't know until the Blu-ray comes out and until...
I mean, this movie didn't make a lot of money. They're going to need all... They're smart.
And
fans will eat up and buy an extended version.
That's something else I want to talk about. Again, we've stated...
Yeah, this movie made less money than Suicide Squad.
This movie...
That's horrible.
It deserves criticism.
Yeah, it's not perfect.
But it does not deserve hate.
Yeah.
I feel like if you know anything about any of the production issues that this film has gone through, you should understand that, yeah, it has issues, but there are some instances with films where you have to be willing to see what they had to work with, what went wrong, why the movie is the way it is. And I feel like I do forgive this movie to an extent of some of the flaws.
Yeah.
But yeah, they are all over the place, and I think it would have benefited from either Zack Snyder directing.
Hey, that sums up this movie. Zack Whedon.
It does. or Josh Snyder.
Yeah.
It would have been better either or, not combined.
Yes. I agree.
Aside from that, I feel like the way I felt the second time I watched X-Men Apocalypse, where I really enjoyed X-Men Apocalypse the first time I watched it, the second time I watched it, I was like, you know what? The movie itself is not great, but there are a lot of really good parts to it.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I feel about Justice League. The movie itself is not great, but there is a lot of good you can pull from it. And is it a little hollow? is it a little shallow like some of the Marvel films? Yes, and I feel that's a little bit sad, and it's lost its identity that it was originally trying to go for, but there's absolutely nothing we can do about that. So it is what it is at this point. And is it entertaining? If you go in knowing that the film has had massive problems behind the scenes.
Watch it through Phat Samurai guys.
If you go in knowing the problems that this film had, and that this was literally the absolute best they could do with it, and especially with the studio mandate of 2 hours, no more. This was literally as good as it could possibly be, all things considered. If things had been different and people hadn't have stepped out and brought in and rewritten and reshot, we might have had a much better film, or a very much more poorly received film. We'll never know.
Yeah.
But through all of its flaws, I'm going 3.6.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's
we did fanboy too, by the way, when Deathstroke showed up.
Oh God!
At the end,
Deathstroke is fucking gorgeous. That suit.
And I don't even give a shit about what you call playing Luthor now.
At this point, it
I don't care.
He's there.
Like I said, I don't care.
He's there.
It's fine. He's business suit
Yeah,
Luthor.
who cares?
Fine. But yeah, Deathstroke. Yeah.
He's beautiful.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
But 3.6 out of 5. Wow.
Yeah, I definitely. There's a lot of good in it.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of issues, but I have a feeling watching it again with the same mindset, and who knows, if we get an extended version, I might like it more.
Superman.
Yeah. And
that's so nice.
Again, there are so many good parts to the film.
Yeah.
So I did not love this movie.
Right.
But I did not hate it. But I did find it more where I feel like the BVS extended cut is a better overall film. Storytelling wise, thematically wise, this movie is easier to watch, and it's more entertaining to watch, and it's a little more light to watch.
Yeah.
Which might be completely contradictory to everything I've said so far. I don't care.
We're going to get to that question in a second.
Okay.
But 3.6.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it, just based on just superhero team-up movie, let's have some fun, fight the big baddie of the week, live action cartoon Justice League episode. Looking at it like that, I'm going to give it a 3.9 out of 5. I was borderline with 4, man. I was like, 4. Like, when I got out of the theater, 4 out of 5 stars, ninja stars. But, reality set in a little bit, and I was just like, I saw more of the flaws of the film.
Yeah.
But still, almost a 4 out of 5 is still probably too high compared to what other people are giving the film. So I know some of you out there are probably shocked that I even gave the movie that high of a score. But
And
3.9 out of 5, man. Very entertaining. I enjoyed it.
Again, it deserves criticism, but
Yeah.
at the same time, it's
We
like,
expected it. We kind of expected it.
there was no other way this could have gone with everything that happened to the film. And
We're probably lucky to get what we got.
yeah.
You never know. Now, for the big question. I don't want to label DC fanboys. I don't like labels. You can like both. It's
yeah,
fine.
that's the problem. People label themselves.
Yeah.
That is
But
the fucking problem.
there is this group though out there, and it's perfectly fine if you're this way, and that's the die-hard DC Snyder lovers. Okay, that absolutely love the dark tone. They love that it's complete opposite of Marvel, and I'm talking like hardcore Snyderverse fans.
Yeah.
Okay? Snyderverse fans. Absolutely love Man of Steel, love BVS, love Suicide Squad. Snyderverse. Okay? Snyderverse. They love it. 5 stars, 5 out of 5. Every movie, 5 out of 5, okay? They love Snyderverse. Do you guys, there's nothing wrong with loving the Snyderverse, do you guys hate this movie? I want to know in the comments below. I really find this question fascinating.
Yeah.
I really, really want to know what you guys think in the comments below. I'm dead serious here, okay? I really want to know, do you absolutely hate this movie? Because it's, a lot more lighter, there's a lot more jokes. Somebody else that's not Snyder came in and turned it a certain way.
It clearly okay.
turned it a certain way.
It clear.
Yeah. So I really find this very interesting, and I was thinking about this when we were talking about the movie the other day. I was just like, do they fucking hate this movie?
Yeah, because the movie clearly...
Do they hate this movie?
It sacrificed its established tone and identity to try to get people on board by going more of a Marvel route. And again, I never wanted DC to go the Marvel route because I admit Marvel is safe.
Yeah.
Marvel, for the most part, is a very safe brand with very few deviations with the Russo brothers and what they've brought to the table. And some people have actually died in some of these films now that are established characters. They're not A-list characters. They're not like front and center characters, but some people have died that have become, oh, well, we like that character, or we like this character, and they're now dead.
Which is good.
The last two Marvel films that have come out have killed off killed off one character apiece in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and Thor Ragnarok. So, thinking about it that way, with very few exception, Marvel is always kind of playing it easy and simple and straight and more, consumable. I never wanted DC to go that route, as I don't think DC wanted to go that route, but because they never had a guiding force the way Marvel has, kind of wrangle in all of these ideas and kind of had like this headmaster going, no, we kind of have to keep things a certain way. They haven't really had that.
Right.
That they've always just been kind of playing it by the seat of their pants and just kind of playing it by ear. And I think it's finally bitten them in the ass. And
well, I think a lot of the DC fans of DC movies, I think they're pleased with the film. As an overall consensus, that's kind of the vibe I'm getting. That they're happy with the movie. They thought it was a very great popcorn, turn your brain off, entertaining movie. They like it. But that's why I had to ask that question.
Yeah.
There's a Snyderverse fans that are like, fuck this movie.
Yeah.
Because the overall consensus is, whether you love or hate the film, but a lot of people are saying that, the problems have been fixed. DCEU, the universe has been retconned, and it's on the right track now. We're getting it on the right track, and that's what a lot of people are saying. A lot of critics are saying this. A lot of people and fans are saying that for Justice League, whether they're successful in the box office or not. A lot of them are saying, okay, we made all these horrible, depressing, nobody wants to watch DCU movies except for Wonder Woman. Now we're steering the boat on the right track. Is that true? Or did they fuck it up? For the Snyderverse lovers, I don't know. Yeah. So Snyderverse fans, let us know in the comments below what you guys really think of this movie. I'm really, really curious about this. Yeah. But yeah, 3.9 for me. I was entertained. If you want a good superhero team-up movie to watch, I recommend Justice League. You can't go wrong. It's fun. And Superman's fucking badass. So again, we'd like to thank all you guys for watching and hanging out and chilling with us. And this Garage Brewing Company,
You're
Mango
stealing my beer.
Heffenweiser. Yeah, we're not getting paid, we're not getting endorsed. This might be my new favorite beer now. I'm sorry.
That's my beer.
I know, but I'm going to get some more, damn it, for us.
With mango.
With mango. All right, thanks again for watching, you guys. As always, you guys rock. I'll see you guys next time. Superman! Superman!
Hate me!
Share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe.